What is up, everyone? Welcome to the edition of Live Locks presented by Scores and Odds. If you haven't checked it out already, just making bad life choices, going over to scoresandodds.com. Get signed up where you got picks from me, Meansy, Dean, all greats. Plus, you get access to our prop shopping tool and access to Grant's Action Lounge. Just go to scoresandodds.com, throwing it in the chat, scoresandodds.com/Discord. Boom, it's in there. And you get access to Grant's Action Lounge, where you see all my picks as soon as I bet them. Going to be a little bit of a shorter show today. Only like 5 games on. I was only able to get 8 bets. Few home run bets, few total base bets, few this, few that. Some over on Superbook if you have it, which I'm having a massive problem with right now because I signed up in Tennessee. And yeah, they apparently don't trust my identity for some reason, even though I bet a ton with them over in Colorado. So I've been dealing with that all morning, and they can't process a simple, refund on PayPal. So Superbook, get your stuff together. Super annoyed right now. We'll start off with the non-home run bets. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them into chat, and I'll get through them throughout the show. First off, we have 2 Superbook bets, which I can't even bet today because they won't let me into my account. And they need me to show a picture of my social security card. Not just give them my social security number, show them my social security card, which is absolutely just ridiculous. But Clevenger going up against Colorado. Have him at under 1.5 earned runs, plus 140. Great odds on that, sitting around -1 or plus 120, plus 110 in most other sites. Under 1.5 earned runs. Colorado, not great. Clevenger been pretty solid. Only a few lefties in the lineup, which is the only place Clevenger's really struggled against. Plus 140 odds are pretty solid here. Next up, we have Spencer Watkins, under 3.5 strikeouts. Yes, there are some decent strikeouts in this lineup, but Watkins sitting at 13.8% K rate on the season. 3.5 is too high considering we get plus 134 on the under over at Superbook. Bet with a decent amount of juice here. Juan Soto over 0.5 total bases, same as Juan Soto to get a hit, minus 160. So he's going up against Scherzer. Obviously, not an easy matchup, but big thing with Soto is he's massive walk rate. 22.3% walk rate on the season versus righties. But Scherzer only a 6% walk rate. So his ball's going to be put in play a decent amount. Soto only strikes out at 12.1% rate versus righties. So the ball's going to be put in play. Scherzer, while he's an incredible pitcher, gave minus 160 odds on Soto to get a hit when he's probably going to put the ball in play a lot. Just seems like bad odds. Next up, David VR. Hopefully he's in the lineup. If he's not in the lineup, it's no bet, so it doesn't matter. But going up against Heaney, Heaney's not a bad pitcher. Struggles a lot, and we'll go back to the beginning of last season since we don't have a huge sample size this season. But struggles with hard contact fly balls versus righties. Strikes out at guys at a decent clip. But VR getting minus 105 to get a hit is just a silly line. Yes, there is the possibility of him getting pinch hit for. I realize that. But VR over 0.5 total bases at minus 105 at DK is just a bad line. I don't understand it. Have about 5 home run bets here. First one, Eduardo Escobar going up against Corbin. Corbin has been bad so far this season. Yes, he's been better recently. But the main thing is versus righties, massive fly or hard contact rate. 37.3%. Escobar, a lot better versus righties than versus lefties. Versus lefties than versus righties. It's only 178 ISO versus right-handed pitching. He's a switch hitter, so it makes sense why there would be this big of a difference. 257 ISO versus lefties. So much better numbers versus lefties. Big fly ball hitter versus lefty, 45.2%, which grades out perfectly going up against Corbin. You can find him at plus 450 to hit home run over at FanDuel. Ballpark upgrade, playing over in Washington, big ballpark upgrade. Plus, the weather is solid. We look at Weather Edge as soon as it loads. 86 degrees over in Washington today wind blowing out a little bit, decent humidity, 12.2% increased home runs. I think it actually should be more than that, but that's just historical data. That's our best guess. Decent enough sample size, but I'd still say it's probably better than that. Next up, Cal Raleigh to hit home runs. Guy I bet far too much probably, but he's done pretty well for me. Big ballpark upgrade, playing over in New York, going up against Domingo German. German, looking back to the beginning of last season, we don't have a huge sample size of him this season. Big fly ball pitcher, 48.1%, 43.6% hard contact rate versus lefties. Raleigh, as we know, has a ton of pop. Guy strikes out a ton, but when he puts the ball in play, huge hard contact numbers, big fly ball numbers. Guy has some pop and big ballpark upgrade. Looking at the weather over in New York, decent weather, a little bit of an increase over normal. It's humid, hot enough, but big upgrade over Seattle's normal weather and ballpark. Next up, we have Adolis Garcia. Not great odds, plus 330, but I love the spot here. As we already talked about, Watkins, not a very good pitcher, does not strike out anyone. Massive fly ball numbers versus righty, 45% on the season, 43.2% hard contact rate on the season, 276 ISO. Garcia, decent power numbers, 44.7%, beginning of last season. Looking at just this season, 46.7. Decent fly ball numbers, going up against a pitcher that does not strike out anyone, which bodes well for his 27.6% K rate versus righties. This is just a perfect spot here. Yeah. Question in chat, Mondell, JR, I'll just call you. Would you play any of these bets, Superbook bets, on books in other states if you don't have access to Superbook in your state? So any bet I give you, obviously depends. If for home runs, like something that's like plus 330, if it dropped to plus 320, plus 310, probably still in play. Bets like the ones I have over on Superbook, let's look at Watkins home run or strikeouts. I'm just going to pull it up here. But generally 5 to 10 points of movement is where I end up staying away. So let's look at Watkins, plus 125 over at MGM is the best line. I don't know if I'd play it at that. That's going to be close. It's going to be maybe marginal positive EV, but you get down to plus 120 over at DraftKings, I would not play it there. That's negative EV at that point. So like I said, getting it at Superbook at plus 134 is a huge difference. Because so basically what I'm working off of most of the time is I'm shooting for a 10% ROI. That's generally what I go for. Most of the time it ends up as 5 to 6% ROI, which is still good. Like I'm shooting for 10%, but 5 to 6 is generally what I end up at, which based on my volume turns out to be a lot. That's what most professional sports bettors are looking for, is 5 to 6% ROI. So let's just explain this really simple. Let's say that you have a bet that's exactly 50% chance to hit. So based on those odds, plus 101 would be a 0.5% ROI. Plus 105 would be a 2.5% ROI, assuming you hit it half the time. Bet 100, you win $5, 50% of the time. Or $105, 50% of the time. Lose 100, the other 50%. So 2.5% ROI. Getting up to plus 110 is about a 5% ROI, plus 120 is a 10% ROI, so on and so forth. So based on that, if I'm working at 5% ROI, most bets outside of the ones with higher odds, like plus 330, plus 340, plus 450, plus so on and so forth, I'm kind of 10 points of line movement is sacrificing 5%, which again, most of my bets are around 5 to 10%. So if it moves more than 10 points, don't bet it. If it moves more than 5 points, you can probably still bet it, but maybe don't. 5 points, I would still bet it in most scenarios. I hope that helps. But yeah, Garcia to hit home run plus 330. Nick Prado to hit home run plus 470 over at FanDuel. Really simple, pulling it up. Love the matchup. Kopech has struggled so much this season. Fly ball numbers versus lefties, absolutely massive, 57.8%. Hard contact numbers versus lefties, massive, 38.9%. Prado, not a huge amount of time in the majors, but his minor league numbers, I think he had 20 in the minors this year, or maybe that was last year. He's got power. He's got pop. He's got a lot of pop. I don't mind Vinny Pasquantino. He's got a ton of pop, but his numbers down quite a bit. He's sitting at like, I don't know, I want to say plus 320, which probably not worth it anymore. But yeah, so I don't mind. I don't mind Vinny, but I really like Prado at plus 470. Last up, Jonah Heim. I seem to bet him all the time, and it just keeps losing me money. But again, the match versus Watkins, too good. Doesn't strike anyone out. Way less fly balls going up against lefties and righties, but Heim is a pretty extreme fly ball hitter. Has some decent pop. Hard contact numbers are still good versus lefties. So I'm rolling with it. But that should do it. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Good luck on your bets. I'll be back tomorrow going up to Indiana, in Nashville right now, but going up to Indiana right after the show. So we're out of here. See you, kids.